That's my fellow
Hi,
Sag.
I'm in my car.
I see.
I'm here.
Were you
About to.
SUV?
No, I still have my same paid off Lexus.
Okay. Well, I know that's right. I like that word.
I'm
Paid
surprised
off.
that paid off.
I'm gonna get there one day. I
Oh
keep
no,
trading and buying new ones every 2 years.
and it's okay. It's okay for those that want to do that. And now I'll
Right.
probably do it again, but it's gonna be under a business
Oh,
name. It won't be under mine. I need
nice
all the
not
right
having
off.
a car note. I've been having a
Yeah.
car note for years. All right, guys.
All right.
So we're going to roll into our listing appointment. I'm real excited to go over this because I've been getting a lot of questions. We've been getting a lot of listings. I did this last year, so I tweaked a few things. I'm going to move along. If you got a question, please stop me. Not necessarily looking in the chat. I see that there's stuff in the chat. So if someone wants to help me with the chat, if you're an expert listing person or you're in the chat, please help me. If somebody has a question, just stop me, let me know. But if you have notes, it's a good time to get them out, your notebooks. If you're listening to the recording as well, notebooks, as you noticed, I try to wear my name tag to meetings. So I saw Deja with her name tag on. So that made me excited. Wear these guys, wear them to a grocery store, wear them everywhere with my Villa shirt. There we go. It's crooked. So we're going to start with the pre-appointment before you have a listing. The pre-appointment, what you want to do. Now we're only going to talk about your basic agent generated listing. We're not going to go into land deals and commercial and REOs and just your basic agent generated listing because the others kind of feed off of that. And you need other things for commercials, totally different. And land is different as well. So this is a single family home, townhouse, condo, regular agent generated listing. So on your pre-appointment, let's say you already established an appointment. Good way to get an appointment, sign up for a sold.com. They're going to pressure you to try to get a paid account, but you have the set account, the I would say free, but you still pay a referral fee if you close on that lead, or you do have the pay in advance where you can purchase zip codes. But the free one, I get leads all the time sent over to me. I try to catch them in time and forward it to one of the agents in that area. I'm going to increase my zip codes so that I can get them for the other states as well and get them forwarded. They have a small staff. You get to know them if you work with them. The leads come over as an appointment. They are not an appointment. Call the lead and make an appointment. But let's say, sphere of influence, you have the appointment set. What you want to do is in Georgia, you have the GSCCCA. It is the Superior Court. And I did look it up in South Carolina and North Carolina. It's similar. The Superior Court clerk. Oh, here it is. I think I wrote it in the back here. No, I just have the legal hotlines. But what you want to do is these are public records, the deed. So just to verify the legal description, you want to do it for REOs too, just so you know. But you want to pull the deed on that property for legal description. Um, that way you can verify you have the right address. If you don't do that, at least um, ask the client for the deed if they have it. If they have a copy, they should have a copy of their deed. That way you can verify the legal description. You want to pull comps. Two places. You can go to your MLS to pull comps and also RPR, NAR, RPR. So that is a benefit that we get from being a realtor or with your realtor board. You have access to NAR, RPR. And that's where you can pull, let's say Cheryl is in Myrtle Beach. She's in Coastal Carolinas, and she has a potential listing in PD. And let's say, well, she is in PD, but if she wasn't in PD, or she has a listing in Florence, she's going to drive an hour and a half. So if you're not in that MLS, you can go to NAR NPR to pull up and get comps. So you want to pull comps for that neighborhood. We're assuming it's not in the middle of a rural area, but if you're Casey, you live in a rural area. So you want to pull up maybe by the county and work your way in. But you want to get as close to that model home, the square footage, bedrooms, usually 3 and 4 go hand in hand, but square footage, bedrooms, year built. You don't want to pull a comp on a house that you're trying to sell that was built 1975 and you're pulling a 2015 comp. So you may have to go a couple miles out, skip over that new construction to get because think of it as a buyer's agent. You're going to go, if you're showing property, you're not going to just show that neighborhood most likely. You're going to show everything in a certain area in a price range. So that's how you want to think about pulling your comps. You want to personalize your presentation. So we do have a seller's guide. I am going to share that. So let me get out of there. With my million windows open. Okay, there we go. So what you want to do is go into villa.design. That is our marketing site, one of them. You go into under Villa Home, scroll down to Seller's Guide. I like the digital version. So if you click on digital for the Seller's Guide, I learned what's going to come up first is the Buyer's Guide. So make sure you have the Seller's Guide. What you do is just scroll down and you click on Guide to Sellers. So you want to personalize this for you. And we're going to come back to that. So that is where you find the Seller's Guide for Villa. That's one of them. Also, Earth to Orbit also has one as well. And there's other places. Ninja Selling, Ninja has one. So any training platform, you're going to have some type of listing presentation to kind of give you an idea. But you want to personalize it to yourself, and you also want to personalize it to your client. Something that I do is pull a CMA. I pull a CMA from the MLS. And in the CMA, you could pull a photo of the property, put it on the CMA, make it really nice. You can go to the dollar store, or you can go in marketing, you can order some folders, some Villa, and those are all in the office, which I'm not at today, but I have some nice Villa folders where you can stick everything in: listing agreement, CMA, comps. You want to show your client all of that. And then also local market info. Good example. I saw something on YouTube. I'm a YouTuber, still heavy. I saw something on YouTube that in today's market, let's say 3 years ago, I think 2022, 2021, they had lower interest rates. 2020, the interest rates were 2.5, 2.6, 3.0. And so a lot of sellers now have those interest rates and they can't sell or they don't want to sell because they're going to buy in a 6%, or they're going to buy 6 to 7% are interest rates now, which is actually average. That 2.56, I don't know if we'll see that again in our lifetime. Don't know. But so a lot of them, what is happening is they have this 2.6. So you have PITI. So principal, interest, taxes, insurance, or principal, insurance, taxes, interest. The way I said it before. So principal and interest is locked in. What's not locked in? Taxes and insurance. So what has happened to price ranges? So when they bought that $300,000 house, the taxes were based on a $300,000 house. They're locked in, their taxes and insurance were based on that. So we'll start with taxes. Taxes first. The taxes, that house is now worth 500,000 because that's how things have skyrocketed, right? House prices have skyrocketed. That $300,000 house is now worth 500,000. Guess what else is going up? Now their taxes are based off of a $500,000. So now that $1,800 payment they had is now $2,600. What has not gone up? Probably their income is probably, so now they haven't accounted for that. So that's something that, we got to look for. There are people having to sell their house because they can't afford the taxes part of their payment now. Also, if you live in an area that has hurricanes, we've had really bad storms. Guess what else has gone up? The insurance. We had the fires in California. Those people are moving. So those insurance companies are exhausted now. Guess who's making up for it? Homeowners across the country are making up for so insurance has gone up. So this is what these people didn't account for 3 years ago when they bought their house. So these are people that you want to look at, maybe put in your advertisement. Has your taxes gone up? Your home price, yes, you can get more for your house, but maybe you can't afford it now. I just closed on an assumption loan. So the people moved from Texas to here, purchased my pastor and first lady's house, and they assumed the loan, which was a 2.6 interest rate. But they purchased the house at 380. We sold it for 630. So they paid the difference to 630. But they're first, so essentially they paid cash. They sold the house in Texas, paid cash for the difference, and they assumed their loan for the first three or whatever was owed. So these are different things you got to learn. If you see classes on assumptions, if you see classes on short sales, that person may have to do a short sale now. Our zone retail leads are distressed properties. So that is getting bigger and bigger on the market. Hey, Dale, I see your hand up because I see you and Cheryl. It only good.
Assumption. Can I pop in a second and ask?
Yeah.
The assumption I've always known about, like the VA assumption, because I've had a family member do it. But is it in other markets? I mean, there's assumptions. I know there's VA, FHA.
Yeah.
What about conventional? Have you seen conventionals be assumable?
The thing is, that homeowner has to check and make sure their loan is assumable. The loan has to be. Say
Across the
again.
board, are VA and FHA assumable across the board?
The
They
one
are.
we did was FHA.
All right.
It doesn't mean, but just because it's VA or FHA, it still may be a loan that's not assumable.
Okay.
So they just got to verify that it is an assumable loan. But this is a way that somebody can buy a house at a lower interest rate.
Yeah.
You may have to have two loans for the difference, but this is a way you can purchase a house, lower interest rate. So look for that. You can specify it in. What we did was listing in a house that has assumable. If you're listing a house and they have a loan on a house, you ask them, is your loan assumable? If that seller has a 2.5 or a 3 point or 4.5 interest rate, you want to ask them, to find out if your loan is assumable. Even if you don't know what you're doing, come ask me. I know what I'm doing now. So if that loan is assumable, you want to list it, you want to mark that that's assumable. That was the first thing I put in the MLS, and people that automatically have a negative oh, they're in trouble. And that wasn't the case. It just got a lower interest rate. So you want to put it, I learned, you want to put it further down and, highlight the house first and then put loan is assumable at a 2 point whatever interest rate. So that's an example of local market info. You want to share that with them. That's what's happening right now. That may be why you're having an appointment. That's going to get us more appointments too, because we know this now. So when you show up for your appointment, now you got your appointment, please be on time, go a little bit early, and drive the neighborhood, drive the pool. Like, if this is an area that you're farming, you already know the neighborhood, right? Or you might already have a listing there, did an open house, now you got another, so just different ways to get the listing. But if you haven't, you're not familiar, drive the neighborhood, see where the pool is, different things that you're going to highlight. When you're at the property, go in, make them feel comfortable. Now we're assuming it's someone you don't know, but even if it's someone you do know, but a lead, clever lead or whatever, smart buy lead, a friend, you still want to go in. If it's someone you're familiar with, switch to your professional side. Don't be the person that, they know at the cookouts. Go switch to, I lost clients from doing that, being too comfortable. Be professional. And some of you have, I've had that, heard you guys have the same situation, but remain professional. What you want to do, this is what I do first. Some of you do it in different orders, but I'm just going to give you different things. But you can, do it to your way, your client, in the recent objections, he talked about the 4 personality types and the way to ask questions and things like that. So, different training, but walk the property. You definitely want to do that. I say do it first. This is breaking the ice. This is getting familiar. You're walking the property. You're also looking at things that need to be repaired. You're looking at, you know, things they need to take down, like their unicorn collection on the, photos on a refrigerator. If they're showing you their family photos and their grandkids, and no, we're not selling that. We're selling the house. So, a lady from my church, we went by a house and looked for her. The backyard was filled with 2 sheds. It had a little bridge. It had 2 canopies. It was overwhelming. My lady from the church, she's my second mom. She's 80. And it was just overwhelming. All she saw was work. So you want to declutter and just listen to them, listen to what they like about the house, what they're excited about. They start talking about the unicorn collection. You kind of want to veer them off. Hey, when's the last time you painted? Or, kind of get them back on track, because they're still in the mind frame of it's their home. You got to get them to the mind frame of you're moving. You got to get them moved on. And that's the biggest thing with listing a house, getting them to switch their mindset, that especially if they didn't want to sell their house in the first place. So this is not, you got to detach them from their house. You're going to discuss repairs, what are they planning to fix? What are you planning to do? Usually they're saying, well, I'm going to paint this wall. What do you think? Should I replace the carpet? What, blah, blah, blah. What you're going to tell them is you're going to have a notebook, write down these things. Let's go over it, because guess what? The repairs are going to tie into what you're listening for. So we'll get to that. So, they ask your opinion. Probably, yeah, I think we should paint, but we'll discuss that when we sit down and talk, about everything. So you're looking at the flooring, you're looking at the roof, you're looking at the ceiling. I'm a tall person, so I generally look down. And it took me a couple of years in real estate to realize I got to learn to look up. I used to follow my inspector around on everything, climb up in the attic with him, and he taught me to look up. You're looking for spots. You're looking for water damage. You're looking for cracks. So If you're a short person, you tend to look up, you're not looking down. So just little things we don't think about until we're doing it, So make sure you're looking up and down, side to side. You're looking at everything. You're looking at walls. So you're gonna then sit down with them after you looked and, built this rapport with them. And David, if you can jump into that would be great because I know you've been going on a lot of listing appointments. And a lot of you want to step up in price range too. So definitely be professional because in higher price ranges, they have friends who are realtors. And higher price ranges, they're very loyal to the people they know. So here you come with your little Villa shirt on. And so you want to earn their trust over their friend who's a realtor or a friend's daughter who's a realtor or something like that. So higher price range, it's going to take a little longer. Just listen to them. Usually higher price range is not knocking anybody, but they're a little more educated on processes in the market and home because they paid a little more money. So they're talking shop with a lot of people. So they're educated, but trust me, they don't know more than you. You're the expert. So you're going to sit down with them and you're going to discuss comps. Well, hey, let me show you what I found, pulling up prices. Because what do they tell you? Oh, the guy over there, he said he sold his house for 300,000, for a ridiculous amount. And it was 2 years ago. That's what they're not telling you is that was 2 years ago. So that's why you're going to sit down and say, okay, this is what's happened in the past 90 days for houses similar to yours, similar, let them know what you looked up or houses in your neighborhood. This is what I found. So based off the comps, you're going to determine a price range, a listing price range. That 300,000 is just embedded in my head. But let's say the price range sold is going to be 350, 320. All right. So what you're going to ask them first, what is your bottom line? What do you want to take home after closing? How much do you need? Well, I need bottom line, I need at least, 350. So now you got figuring commission. You should have maybe have a seller net sheet. I usually don't have one because there's two things I'm looking at. If they have a loan, we got to pay off that loan and my commission and also what so the commission, what their payoff is, and are they going to give seller concessions? Are they going to have some money to help pay that buyer to pay their closing, pay some closing costs? Because that buyer's agent is going to ask for closing costs. Do they have a warranty on that? So I'm going to figure out, so what is your bottom line? Well, David, my bottom line is 350. I have to walk away 350 or I'm not selling my house, blah, blah, blah. So that's their bottom line. This is the least they'll accept. So then you're going to discuss numbers with them. Okay, well, Mr. Seller, here's the price range I have. You have to walk away with 350. I believe we can list your house for 380 to 420. You give them a range. It can be that large, it can be smaller, whatever. So this is what, based on the comps, we can get 380 to 420. Now, to get 420, you're doing the numbers with them. Okay, Dale. You're running the numbers with them. So to 420, you're going to walk away with this amount. So you're got your little calculator and you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, we list at 420. You haven't gone over commission yet, but you're figuring whatever, you're going to walk away and then you owe this much. Okay, you're looking to walk away with this much. If you need to sell it fast, you need to get on. It might be they're running financial situations. They have to move across the country for a job, or they got to sell fast. Now we're going to be on the lower end. They don't have any money to fix this house up, lower end. So in order to get 420, the highest amount, you're going to have to fix these water spots. We're going to maybe have to do a pre-inspection to see and, disclose any issues with the house, get it fixed, blah, blah, blah. It's going to take you a little longer to get it on the market, because you're going to have to, how long do you think it's going to take to do? You're going to discuss what needs to be done. You're going to discuss staging. You're going to discuss photography. You're going to discuss, are they willing to help, pay for some of the marketing? So for a lower commission, let's say lower price or something like that, they may be willing to pay for some of the marketing. I had that situation. They're willing to pay for the food for an open house, so you're working with them with numbers. You're also going to discuss the commission. This is what I charge. And this is what I'm going to do for this amount. So for 420, 6% is this. So we're going to deduct this amount. And then this, you notice what I did? I told them what I charge and what I'm going to do. The marketing I'm going to do, the open houses, the photography, the blah, blah, blah. I'm going to pay for this. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to market your property. Well, I don't want to pay, I wasn't looking to pay that much. I was thinking, I was thinking 2%, 3%. I don't want to pay I don't care about the buyer agent. So now, okay, of my 6%, 3% is going to go to, now I'm just throwing out a number. You don't have to list at this, but of my 6%, 3% is going to be paid to a buyer's agent that brings you a buyer to get your house sold. With a buyer agent, they're going to come with a pre-approval or the proof of funds. They're going to come here with a qualified buyer. They're going to come here with, they have to have a lockbox key. They have to have, so you're going to go over some of the things that the buyer agent is going to have. So they're looking to get paid. They don't work for free. If we don't offer any income, that is going to decrease your chances of selling your house. So you're going to let them know that, well, are you willing? I'll pay them, 2.5. Are you willing to accept, 2.2% on your end? Yes. But, I'm not going to pay for the photographer, or this is a situation. You're going to back off some of, this is just throwing this out there. You're going to back off on some of your services. So my pastor's house, they only wanted to pay me 1.5, but I also had the buy side too. So I knew I was going to get, and they added it on the buy side because they could, because we sold their house. So they paid for the photography. They paid for all the food for open houses. They paid, they paid for everything. I didn't have to pay for nothing. I just had to basically put in the MLS, show up. So, okay, for 1.5, I'm going to put in the MLS. I'm going to, but for this, I'm gonna stand here. I can show it for people. I can meet the agent here if you want me to, if you're gonna pay, whatever you determine the services you're gonna provide for the level of commission, compensation that. So you're also gonna go over days on market. Right now, it looks like we're at a 45 to 90 day on market in some areas. So you're gonna talk about that. Do we have 3 months? Do we have, so seasons? I don't know. We've had a really good spring this year, very good spring. I don't know when it's going to drop off. At some point it will, usually September. So once you get the numbers settled, okay, you've determined maybe middle of the road, you're going to do 410. Maybe start a little higher, you're going to talk to them about this buyer may need seller's concessions. They may need help with the closing costs. This is what their estimated closing costs are going to look like. They have a loan. They may need to, need some assistance with closing costs. So this is where you're going to get your bottom line. So once you get seller, lower number if they're open to negotiations. Now, what I've done and what I've seen some of you guys do and other agents, you leave the buyer's agent commission open. So when a buyer agent calls and I know David said he doesn't like this when they ask how much are they paying commission? I'll ask, are they paying? Are they paying buyer agent compensation? I don't ask how much, but so if they ask you how much, well, it depends on, if it's a full price offer, they're paying this. They're paying 2.5 with a full price offer. They're paying 3% with a full price offer. But if it's, a lower priced offer and depending on the terms, it may be 2%. That's what I was telling buyers. So it's negotiable. A lot of people because commission compensation is negotiable. So that's and so we negotiated the price according to what what they wanted to earn, what their seller had to pay, what their buyer had to pay and all of that. So, with the marketing, you're going to let them know it's going to go on the multi-list, MLS. Explain what an MLS is. Your normal person does not know what the heck a MLS is. Half of you don't even know what it stands for, but it's multiple listing service. But I'm going to put it on the multiple listing service. That is mostly for agents. 80% chance it's going to be sold by another agent, just letting you know. It's also going to go on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, Homes.com. I'm going to put a sign out front. My sign costs this. My people even purchased directional signs. They purchased the additional stuff that I needed. I'm going to do an open house once a month. I'm going to do or twice a month, or, me and my team. I'll have other agents that will come and do it. We have new agents on the team. We'll have them come do open houses. Photographer, drones are good for land deals, or homes, because it could show the whole neighborhood. Staging, virtual staging, you could talk about that. If it's a vacant property, do you want virtual staging? I personally hate virtual staging. I do not like it. I want to see the house as it is. Some MLSs do not even allow virtual staging anymore. I've seen that already. I forget which MLS. I'm part of 26. So these are things you want to talk about. Do they currently have a home warranty on the property? If they currently have a home warranty, that's going to cover some of the repairs they need to make. How much is left? Like maybe I had a seller once that had 2 years left on his home warranty. They were getting a divorce and there was 2 years left on the home warranty. He was able to transfer it to the buyer. So buyer is automatically getting a home warranty. So home warranties are important. I use the same company. They have changed salespeople over the years, but I personally like Old Republic because I'm in there. It has a record of all the home warranties. You can fill it out. It sends the warranty to the closing attorney. They make sure it comes out, all of it. It's all set. But make sure you follow up with your client afterwards. A lot of them forget that they have a home warranty. So just a reminder, make sure they have a pamphlet, make sure they have, everything that goes with the home warranty. HOA. Make sure, a lot of closings don't happen. Sometimes a closing doesn't happen because we don't have the HOA letter. So are they up to date on their HOA fees? Make sure they put with the initial, maybe they've lived there for 5 years and they forgot that they paid at closing an initial cost for the initial cost to join. So it might be a $500 cost, might be $2,000, it might be to join the HOA, and then they have their annual or monthly, whatever it is. So make sure that's broken down annually, monthly. And is there an initial cost? Don't have those buyers get to closing and now they got to pay additional $1,000 for the HOA that no one told them. So, um, so that's the HOA. Find out about that. Talk to the HOA yourself. Call them, find out, make sure that they're not behind. Hey, I have a contract on 123 Main Street in your subdivision. Because you have to put the HOA information on there. You want to get the CC&Rs, the covenants, to get other C's for codes, covenants, codes, and restrictions. So you want to get that because you want to give that to the buyer, buyer's agent, once you go under contract, you want to give that to them. Documents to have uploaded in the MLS, upload the documents. So a listing takes time. A lot of agents are, excuse my language, half-ass listing properties. So we'll get to MLS because the AI thing is driving me nuts. So,
Real quick, Adrian, what are you saying about the about the virtual photos?
virtual staging, girl.
Yeah, the virtual staging. What's going on with that? Like, is that an issue?
I just don't like it. I like
Oh,
me personally.
okay.
If it's an empty room, what a lot of agents are doing is they'll have the actual room,
Yeah.
picture of the room,
Mhm.
and then the picture of the virtual stage, what the room looks like with this pretty couch and table and fireplace lit. And, that's virtual staging. You
Right.
do have to document this is virtually staged.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's the thing. You have to document virtually staged.
Got you.
I feel you should have the actual picture and the virtually staged picture, but
Okay. Okay. I
don't-
noticed that. I
me,
noticed that. I
it just
seen
rubs
that.
me. I'm old school. I just want to see the house as it is.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Any other questions to this point? Up to this point. Okay. So,
Hey, Aiden, I have a question. This is Paresh.
sure.
So, if the buyer's agent, not the buyer's agent, if the seller is not willing to pay the buyer's agent, absolutely not, what's the recourse?
If they just absolutely will not, I say go ahead and proceed. As long as they got to pay you. So, let's say they only want to pay 3%.
Right.
Maybe it's something, you can negotiate with them. If they're only paying 4%, maybe you can do a 2 and 2. Then it's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say proceed, and if they're not getting any showings, and after a couple of weeks, you can go back and say, well, maybe we should offer,
Gotcha.
maybe we should
Gotcha.
offer a little more, sir,
Gotcha.
ma'am. So good question. Okay, so you want to give them the disclosures. Working with real estate agents, if you're in North Carolina, SC, South Carolina disclosure relationships, if you're in South Carolina, those are required. Georgia, the ABCs of relationships, I think it is not required, but we should have it. I'm starting to see it in some of you guys, so I really appreciate it. It does go over, those 3 documents go over the relationship. Okay, it explains to them the brokerage's relationship with them. So they're their customer, they're their client. Most listings, though, they're clients. Your buyers are going to be your customers. If that's if it's a dual type thing. Dual agency is allowed in both of our states. I mean, in all 3 of our states. I prefer, if you're going to do that the buyer is a customer, or in South Carolina is a transaction, you serve as a transaction agent. But I prefer that you don't have 2 clients, because then you owe fiduciary duties to both. So you got to keep this confident. Now you're sitting in the middle knowing information. So that's why it's good customer, and explain to them the difference. If it's a FISBO, there's a different form you're gonna have to sign for a FISBO. It's not gonna be the exclusive listing agent. So this is considered like a customer. That is when it's considered like a customer. Or your man, I wish Linda Blakemore was on the call, because what she did was she went through a whole condo and she just sent out mailers and she started getting calls. And a couple of them served as FISBOs. So she had a buyer that wanted to be in this building. So she sent a mailer to everybody in the building and someone accepted. Someone came, she didn't represent them, she had the buyer. So we had to do like treat it as a FISBO. In Georgia, that is what is it, showing to an unlisted property. South Carolina, I know it's a transactional agent. And North Carolina, I'd have to look again because we haven't had that. But I believe it's more like a customer type showing thing. So you want to share that with them. Also, a good time for them to sign the ABA with Villa. Our ABA. Good time to sign it is now with the listing agreement as you're going over all that. So then you have it done. We don't have to chase them down, go back to them to sign it. So now let's go over listing agreement. You want to print a copy of the listing agreement to take to your client. Am I sharing? Or did I? No. Okay. I just went there without you guys. So you want to take a copy. There we go. Of the listing agreement with you. Pull up North Carolina first because it's so daggum detailed. There's so much stuff. But what I do is I blank in my folder. I have a blank copy of the listing agreement so that they can read it. They can go over it after I'm gone. But this agreement is between their name. You make sure, okay. You're going to make sure you're putting the name that is on the deed. The person that can actually sell. We're not going to go into probate. We're not going to go into all of that because it's a little different. But make sure that if it's a husband and wife and the house is in the wife's name, she bought the house and then later they got married and she added the husband, or maybe she didn't add the husband, but whoever is on the deed, if both of them are on the deed, add both of them. If you're not, if it's a divorce situation and that divorce spot, they're both on the deed, you got your hands full, but they both have to agree to sell the house. So firm, Villa Home, Georgia and North Carolina, Villa Home Inc., South Carolina, no S in home. You got to have the term. It's not a contract without a term. Existing agency, property is listed for sale, exclusive. Wants to know if it's listed for sale with another agency. That way, we just had a situation in South Carolina with that.
Oh, that's a South Carolina listing?
This one is in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had a
This
quick
is
question.
These are what I'm going over right now is on all three, is in all three
okay.
states. It's just basic. I'm
Okay.
just showing the North Carolina
Okay.
right now. But go ahead. What was your question?
No, well, I wanted to let you know that I have a situation where where the sellers, they changed their names. So what they purchased the house, right? In Williams, but now they reverted back to their maiden names. Do we just wait until
No,
so
you're gonna put. They're still the same person.
so they
You
okay,
know,
so just
yeah,
leave
because
it.
right. I bought a house under Bryant and I get married 2 years later and my last name changes. My current name is going to go on a listing agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to put the current name
That they
They
purchased
may
it
have done a
in.
quick claim deed, right? You're gonna put
Mhm.
what the current name is. If the closing attorney, lender, or somebody wants proof or something, then
Yeah,
they can
then they will,
provide
okay,
proof.
all right,
If they have to provide proof, it probably will be with a lender.
it will be with
But
the
you want
lender,
the current
okay,
name because they have to bring their license, driver's license or
okay.
ID to closing. So,
It's always
yeah,
something, okay.
yes.
All
That's why we
right.
get paid the big bucks, right?
I
That's why,
know.
that's why, people think that all we do stick a sign out front or we're just showing property. They
I
don't know
know.
that we
I
gotta
know.
do, like, guys, we gotta do this stuff.
Yeah.
You worked hard, get your license. It's not simple. So, this is where you're gonna put the property. North Carolina, the reason I brought this up first is because this has been blank. There's just a street address and this and the county. You please put the description. Please put the legal description in there. And we know we got the right house. Okay. So here they got a lot of stuff. Listing price. This is the price that you guys are going to agree on. And then marketing. Now you got MLSs with coming soon. Y'all drive me nuts when you want to do that. Usually with coming soon, you can't show the property. Open houses, firm will do. So everything is on the north, but my point is to go over, oh gosh, okay, here's the bar. To go over the listing agreement with them. Don't just fill this out and send it to them on e-sign to sign and they haven't seen it. Like same with the buyer agreement, just putting it out there. Go over it with them, sit down with them and go over it. Again, this is the South Carolina, asking for the tax map, the county, the lot, block, section. You guys are leaving that blank. Put that in there. That's the whole purpose of pulling up the deed, asking for the deed so that you have the correct, especially if it's land. It's a different listing agreement if it's land in a lot of the states, but especially if it's land. There's a lot of scams. A lot of scams and legal descriptions are public information, hence the scams. Same with Georgia. Georgia's, you guys are really bad on this too. You're putting, uh, let's see, what I see a lot. Definitely not this. 3, not 2. We're
I do
putting
too.
attach is fine.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't like 2.
Why?
Because the legal description's in several places. It's on the deed, it's on titles, it's different places. So either attach the legal description, it could be the deed, or fill this out completely. If you go on GSCCCA, pull the document, it's 11 cents, pull the document and attach it to your offer. Attach it to, I'm sorry, to the
Your
listing.
listing? Okay.
Yes. Put it in the documents in the MLS. Okay, so these are some of the things. Now, lock boxes. Let's see, lock boxes. You want to go over the whole process. They don't know like that your lockbox key is updated every day. So if something happens, you lose your license, but that shuts down. So they need to know that not just anybody can walk in their house. Explain to them showing time or the showing process, the showing system, what, get their hours. Now, if they say, well, I only want to show, I had that. I only want to show on Saturdays. I go to church on Sundays and I'm working during the week. I work from home, but a lot of people work from home. So you got to work out showing times. You got to get them to be available to show as much as possible. And also, the house needs to be within 15 minutes of showing. Another tip, the house needs to be unpersonalized. You got to get them to start packing. You got to take down personal effects, pictures. They're not there to see your grandkids' beautiful pictures and your wedding photos and unicorn collection. And I say that because I had that. Well, this is personal. I understand, but you need to pack it up. You need to start packing it up. I had an argument with the 500 Elvis photos that you guys have heard that story. Elvis photos that were all in every room of the house. Elvis has got to get packed up. This looks like Graceland right now. So you gotta, religious things, your MAGA stuff, your Obama stuff, your Black Power, your, whatever religion you're serving or not serving. All of that, it needs to be personal effects, needs to be packed up. You're selling a building. It is now a building. So they need to be within 15 minutes of showing. So that means if somebody's driving the neighborhood and happen to see the sign and they're like, oh man, I'm in the neighborhood with my buyers. Can I show this house? You then have to call, you need to alert them that this could happen. So you don't necessarily have to hop in the car, pack up the dog and everything and leave, but at least be, I'll let the listing agent know that you're home. You guys will maybe need to step out, maybe sit in the car or something like that. Make sure they leave. Me personally, again, so irritated when people are there. And sometimes I take my sellers and show them property just so they can understand the process themselves. It's been a long time since they went home, looking at properties. Sometimes I'll take them in the comps that are for sale. So go over that lockbox, the whole setup, how that works with them. Here it has marketing risks. It'd be nice to just have a copy of North Carolina just to think of things that aren't on the other ones. But because the South Carolina one is kind of short, to the point. So, in every last one, here's the lockbox. Okay. Let's say you're listing for a celebrity or a wealthy or a public figure. Let's say a public figure, and they may not want their property all over the place, marketed. They want to, I have a couple that are private. They are, unmarketed properties. They don't want marketing. So in that case, you cannot put it in the MLS. You cannot put it, it's not going to be across Zillow and all that or you can only put in the MLS, but you have to mark it where then it doesn't shoot out to the other websites, to Zillow, to everywhere else. It's only in MLS. You can do that. I forget what it's called. It starts with an A, attributed or something like that. You mark no where it's not sent out to the others. So understand the marketing and how that works. No control, commission rate, or fees. This is South Carolina. Georgia, pretty cut and dry. A lot of agents that aren't in Georgia that come to Georgia really like the Georgia contracts. To me, they're too simple, but cut and dry. They've changed the compensation on all of them. Georgia asked for the agency and brokerage. We supply all of this. You might want to, you can mark it. This is what we don't offer. Notice what we don't. Also, you have to get, if your client agrees to dual agency. See, in Georgia, where this is noted, the ABCs of agency. So you should supply them with that, although it doesn't require signature. I would still get it initial that you showed it to them. But also want them to agree or disagree to dual agency. No, I don't want you to represent the buyer as well. So in that case, you might want to bring in an agent, another partner to represent the buyer. So you do want to go over their duties as what is the owner's duties versus what your duties are to them. So it's broken down further in all three. Protection period. Explain that to them. Don't wait until it expires and then tell them. Explain it to them now. This is the protection period. Should we terminate or expire and you decide to go to another brokerage, any buyers that have shown the property while you're under contract with my brokerage, we're still owed a commission if they write a contract for this amount of days. So make sure you explain the protection period. We went over that last month. Okay. Disclosures. Do not fill out seller's disclosures, the property disclosures, the residential disclosure statement. Do not fill that out. Do not, not even mark. You can answer any questions, but this is for the seller. The reason why you marked on there that they're leaving the refrigerator and they're not leaving the refrigerator. You marked on there, you failed to mark on there that that basement flooded 3 years ago. They're going to come back and say, well, you filled it out. So do not fill it out. It's for them to fill it out. So if there's something that we are in that situation as well, there's not too many I haven't seen as a broker. So if there was a flood in the basement 3 years ago and they don't disclose that on the residential disclosure, seller disclosure statement, then and that buyer closes and they're in there 2 months from now, and then somebody comes in and there's a flood in the basement and it's discovered that the inspector missed it. Maybe they didn't get an inspection, but at any rate, it doesn't fall on us. Doesn't fall on us. I know you guys want to be helpful. And what do? You don't do anything. They have to go now. That buyer has to go after the seller. So you let the seller know you need to disclose everything since you've lived here. If you had roof repairs, if you had, whatever, disclose as much as you can. You let them know that, but you are not filling that out. And you're not filling out the community disclosure statement or just the community. They fill that out. Just make sure that they put that initiation cost, if that's, applicable, mandatory, whatever. Make sure they put everything on there. Verify that with the HOA. In North Carolina, the MOG, they need to fill that out. Is there we're in a situation with a septic tank. Property's closed. The inspector didn't know. It's listed in the tax record as public sewer, and there's a septic on the property and the people closed. We're not responsible. Okay. So evidently the seller didn't know either that they had a septic on the property. So now the septic it's between the buyer and seller. After we close, we're protected in so many places. So understand that, but do not fill these things. What you do fill out is the lead-based paint. If it's built before 1978, lead-based paint is just it's a disclosure. You're just disclosing. Then the MLS. Oh, I said I would go over this too. The seller's guide. So I like the digital one. I just showed you guys how to. So this is with Villa under Villa.design. You can put this on a laptop. You can put this, I think, on your phone. I'm not sure, but definitely like an iPad or something like that. But I like this step. This is something to help you. Just go over them with STEP as a real estate advisor. You can do the printed one and leave it with them or email it to them so they can go over it. But I would go over it with them, some parts of it. This is the steps. Initial consultation, which we're doing, Mr. Seller, right now. Select a real estate advisor. They may be interviewing with the Clever Leads. I think they interview with 3 agents. Sold.com, they may be interviewing, or anybody. higher end, luxury, higher end, they are interviewing with several. So then they got to make a selection of one and prepare their property, go to market. And you're going to start marketing, I say we're going live, and then receive and negotiate offers. You want to explain that process to them. Contract acceptance. Okay, I have to present all offers to you, even if they're verbal. Well, I don't want to see anything under 350. Well, I know that, but I have to legally present all offers to you. Even if somebody calls me or texts me, I at least got to call you and tell you, hey, this person wants to know, can they offer this? No. So, or whatever they're going to say. But you have to present all offers, no matter what. Do not make that for them. Oh, you know what? He's not going to accept that. I'm not even going to. No, you have to. So, under contract, what that means, what's going to happen, the pre-closing, final walkthrough. So, you got to keep the house together, moving, occupancy dates. The occupancy date could be a week from closing. That has to be agreed on. Everything has to be agreed on, and the closing and what happens. Okay, so that is the seller's guide. Some other things in there, marketing plan. So it breaks down each thing that we just went over, preparing your property, what happens when you go to market. So that you can just kind of brief them on that part and tell them later to go over, each step is listed on there, steps to sold. So that is the seller's guide and inside Villa I showed earlier. Villa.design. In the MLS, let's see, did I not share? I did. I didn't share. Did I not share that, what I was just going through? I did not. So what I was going was the steps to sold right here. The digital, I had pulled it up earlier, and the steps to sold. That's what I suggest you sit down, go with them, these brief steps right here, and then let them know that it's all broken down on the further pages. So you can email them, but when you're with them on the appointment, I would probably pull this up on an iPad and go over that with them. So in the MLS, I know I was holding some things. I didn't get to put notes. But on the MLS, when you list it in the MLS, write the description yourself. I mean, you can get ideas from AI, but write the description. Another thing that is irritating me is now in the MLS, when you put in your photos, when you add the photos, AI is putting their own description. So I'm looking at properties and I don't know what's the master bedroom. It just says bedroom. AI is just going to say bedroom, bathroom, laundry, utility. It's not going to say bedroom on the terrace level, bedroom, secondary bedroom, master. Go ahead, David.
Hey, I was gonna say, hey, I found out we can't say master bedroom anymore. Master is the woke society don't like master
Oh
because
my
there's no more
God.
masters
Okay.
and slaves. You have to call it primary now.
Primary.
I still
Forgive
call it
me.
master. I don't care what they say.
Okay, give me a second. Primary, secondary. Suite. I guess you can't say master suite because that to me sounds awesome. But okay, I get it. Yeah, I get it. So primary suite, primary bathroom off the primary suite. Laundry room is just next to the primary suite. Secondary, Jack and Jill. I guess we could still say Jack and Jill. But Jack and Jill, water closet.
No, it
How
may
many of
be
us know
Jack
what
and
a
Jack.
water?
You're being what's name? It could be Jack and Jack. So stop that.
Jill and Jill, Jack and Jack. Jack and Jill. Connected bedrooms with bathrooms, connected bath. So, Yeah, I guess that's why AI is in there to keep it basic for us. But it's driving me nuts. Like, add a little bit to it, guys, so they kind of know when they see the pictures. Put your pictures in order as if you're walking through. I usually put the bedrooms together, put the basement together. You know, if there's a bedroom in the basement, this is the bedroom on the terrace level. This is the bedroom, you know. So I didn't know some of that stuff, but yeah, just try to, you know, it takes time, but it's worth it. Sit down, take the day to do it, and then you're done. You don't have to keep going back. Um, Also look at other people's descriptions. You don't want to copy, but just to get, you can get words from AI. That helps with certain words. Kendra, you had a question? You have to come off mute.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't think this has nothing to do with what y'all talking about. I'm sorry. But I didn't receive a link to the new training, the new agent training. Will this carry over?
No. Hold
Uh-oh.
on.
Okay.
Let me, okay. I'll send that to you right now because it's already started.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good interruption. All right,
I'm
guys,
But
give
sorry.
me.
there is a website that can assist you with your descriptions because sometimes you do need a little, it's called Perplexity and it is through AI. But what it does is it just adds a little, and then you can, add your extra stuff. But it's Perplexity, just the same way as you spell it, Perplexity. And that helps when you're just, how you just like, you can't think. You're like, okay, what the so it helps to put some stuff in there. Like you just already got to know your bedrooms, your bathrooms, how much, they sometimes it's off a little bit with that, but it does give you some little stuff to add. Just when you just can't get it all together, your thoughts, it kind of helps. So it's called
Thank you for
Perplexity.
taking over there while I sent that to Kendra. I just sent it to you, Kendra. Thank you, Lorna.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
So, and then, what was I going to say? In your description, you may have to tweak it. Like I did with the assumption loan, it was important to my seller to put that assumption first. And I guess what happened was, it gave a negative. This is a $650,000 home, starting with assumption, loan is assumable. Automatically, people are thinking there's a problem. They're distressed owners, something like that. One in the case, they just had a really good rate. So what I had to do was I ended up moving that down and I highlighted the house. The house was spectacular. She staged it with her own stuff, great, minimized everything, depersonalized. She did everything I asked her to do. So I highlighted the house. And then at the bottom, I put loan is assumable to boom, boom, boom. People start calling about the assumable loan. So just kind of watch watch the patterns, watch your description and just get there was one I wasn't getting showings on. Again, I'm bad about putting the situation first or convenient stuff like that instead of highlighting the home. Instead of I'm maybe wear too much on my sleeve. I'm so real, like instead of, but there's nothing wrong with putting the good attributes of a home, even if, some of the REOs is tough. Fixer upper. Honey, get your tools, whatever. This is a fixer upper, needs TLC. But, stuff like that, like nice soft words. And highlights, put the positive first. Just put the positive things. Great deal. Price to sell. Those are okay to put, it. Motivated seller might be okay. Now they're not going to get a good offer, so you might want to hold off on motivated seller unless, like, it's like I don't care, I just need an offer. Then you might want to put it in the private remarks. Know your MLS rules. Almost every day we're dealing with warnings. So know your MLS rules. We Our realtors, even if the MLS allows it, we cannot put compensation in there. The word compensation, we can't put commission, we can't put anything like it anywhere in the MLS. Where we can put it, and David's going like this, Facebook Marketplace, we can put it in there. We can put something, anything that's any marketing that's not tied to the MLS, does not have an IDX feed to the MLS. So even on our website, Villa Home, we can't put anything that's going to shoot from or pulls from the MLS. Facebook Marketplace does not. So you can run an ad. I would run ads over the weekend, or it's in there for free, but then I would do a boost. I would boost the ad over like the weekend, the high prime showing times, Thursday through Sunday. So you can set a budget for how much you want to spend for it to go out. So it just mass marketing. Open houses, you may not get a buyer. People may not even stop by at an open house, but the open house is to create buzz. They see your sign, they see balloons, balloons are a hassle, but they see directional signs are fantastic. So I would buy directional, they have them in the Villa store. Directional signs, it has Villa. I just put the phone number, house for sale, Villa, and it has the Villa Home colors and an arrow. Fantastic. Be careful with signage, where you're going to put, make sure you know the city ordinances. If you're outside of the property, you're putting your open house, know the hours that you can put the open house. Wine and cheese, you can do a wine and cheese open house, have, jazz music playing softly, make sure the house smells good. These are things that you can tell the owner, long as it's not an allergy type, thing. Plugins. I like plugins, but not everybody does, and they could be dangerous. So just different things. If it's vacant, just make sure it's clean. Have cleaning people come in. These are different things. And then the TC. So do you guys on the listing side, any other tips or any other things that you guys can think of for in the listing that I may have missed or? Okay. So
On the listing side, one of the things that I've done and that I do, if you want to get better, this is on the listing side. If you want to get better, if you go to a listing and you don't get that listing, call that person.
David, you froze, or did I freeze?
And
David,
you have there's
wait, David,
no, I
you
asked
froze.
directly.
You froze for a
I
second.
froze.
Yeah.
Am I back
You
unfroze?
said call that and then froze.
Yeah, so I'm saying if I go to a listing and I don't get that listing, in an attempt to get better at my craft, I'll call that person back and ask them why come they didn't choose me, or what was it about the other agents that they chose them, selected them over me. I had one old lady tell me right up front, hey, I just wanted a woman. I was never gonna choose you. Clever told me I had to yeah. Because it was a clever lead. She's like, Clever told me I had to interview 3 people and you were just one of the 3. So I was never going to choose you. I've always wanted a woman. I'm only going to work with a woman. I was like, that's quite sexist. If I would have said that, you accused me of sexism, male chauvinism, and everything else. But, she's like, hey, I just wanted a woman touch. I just didn't feel like you would have a woman's touch when it comes to staging. And so I was like, okay, whatever.
You're too manly.
But I'm saying, but that's how you get better, is finding out why they did not choose you. Don't take it as an insult. Just all feedback is good feedback. No matter, just take it for what it is. And then, hey, I can't change from being a man. I can in today's time, but I'm not.
Yeah, you could have just went with a wig, right?
I'm not making any adjustments to my manhood. I'm keeping my manhood, but and so, but just find out, hey, but those are the things that you can adjust and change. Don't be afraid or fearful to make those changes and adjustments to get better at your craft.
And to that, I think you could have said, maybe going forward in a listing, maybe, I'm a team lead. I have several other, team members on my team. So, if you feel like you want to possibly, maybe, if not, there's a way to put it. In other words, I have females on my team. So maybe going
Yeah,
forward,
right.
like
Yeah.
letting them know that there are other personalities and other, people on my team. We as a team will be selling your house.
Yeah.
Even if you're a single agent, you're a sole agent by yourself, or you have a team lead, hey, just go as a team. Go as, my broker, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Your broker's a female. That might sit well with some people. I can understand the thought process of having a female, um, but like, for David, guys and stuff like that, if you're interviewing with a female, but same with a female with a male, you might want to let them know, hey, my team, a guy, if you sometimes maybe David can take take Sandra with him to a listing, or take, hey, we're going to do this, or Lorna, you might want to take, somebody with you. You never know.
Yeah.
If you're interviewing with someone, use the team. Even if you're an individual agent, hey, we have such and such amount of agents in our office here in Atlanta, or here in Charlotte, or here in Columbia, or Raleigh. This is what we have in the state. We have agents across the state. So we all collectively will be selling your house, marketing your house. That's where you pump up the brokerage. So that was very good. So just follow up with them if you didn't get the listing. Also stay in touch with them. After you sell the house, send them the marketing letter. Like right now we have the newsletter and our new tech. I'm so excited. We got some cool things coming. But yeah, you want to set them up on a drip campaign for them to get properties, sent to them in their new neighborhood. That's usually a buyer, but a seller that has moved on, stay in touch. Their referral is important. Like if they moved out of state, you still stay in touch with them. Send them something every couple of months or once a month. Just saying, hey, if you know anybody moving to Georgia, at that point you want their referral. So that's the MLS. Last thing, and then we can move on. Thank you for everyone that's here. Last thing is listing procedures. So this is after you put it in the MLS, you got the listing agreement signed. What I say is leave them a copy, but you're going to probably send them one to eSign. You're going to type up what you guys agreed on, and you're going to send it to them to eSign. Review. Always ask them to review and sign. Even when I send stuff to you guys, review and sign. Don't just tell them sign here. And if they not tech savvy, you want to print out a copy and then take it back for them to sign everything. Maybe take some cookies or meet them somewhere, have them sign a listing agreement. So make it a nice experience. I will say, Shakita Price, her closing, she goes in for her closing. She does a great job. Puts up balloons. Her clients feel really special. So just make it a really great experience for them. It should be, a really nice experience. So no matter what their situation, if it's a situation where they have to sell and move on, make it positive for them. This is, point in your life where it's time for a change in your life. If you don't do it, sometimes God will move you on. If they're not a religious person, be careful. But, make it positive. Always come in and be the light for them. So I just wanted to say that. And again, the listing procedures, I send this email out. I try to like 2 or 3 times a month, but make sure all executed listings are placed in your local MLS and turned into the TC within 24 to 48 hours of execution. So once the listing agreement and disclosures, ABA, are signed, you want to send it over to Mario if you're in the Carolinas, and Hillary if you're in Georgia. And I put this little blurb in here for Georgia and what to mark. Here are the procedures once you obtain a listing. So I have documents here, the forms that we need for a listing, and if applicable, the HOA, lead-based paint. If you're selling the house in DeKalb County, they require this plumbing exhibit listed in your local MLS, your villa transaction coordinator so that it can go in SkySlope and we can see how many listings we have obtained. It also helps us get market share. If there's signs all over Columbia, we're starting to get market share in Columbia. Signs all over Raleigh, we're starting to get market share in Raleigh and so on. So across our 3 states, we want to start getting market share. Property under contract procedures, follow the steps, and once it's under contract procedures. We always go over to pay to close, CDA, and on closing day, what you need to turn in is the executed HUD or closing disclosure, and your closed MLS sheets to the TC, Mario Hillary, so we can close out your file. And congratulations. So you want to
What
keep this, go ahead.
What is market share? What were you talking about with that?
I love that. That's a great question. So you're in Atlanta.
Mhm.
So we want what signs do you see when you're driving around?
What signs?
What real estate signs do you see?
All different kinds, like Keller
Okay, I see
Williams.
Berkshire Hathaway,
Mm-hmm.
Keller Williams.
Mm-hmm.
They have the market share. They have, if you're in a city where you see Coldwell Banker,
Mm-hmm.
Coldwell Banker has the market share of that area. They kind of own the market.
Oh, market.
We want the lion's share, put it that way, of the market. So that's a
To
great
put our
question.
signs out.
Right.
To
So
put-
villa signs all over Conyers,
Okay.
all over Gwinnett County, all over Chatham County if you're in Charlotte, all over,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Richland County, and Columbia. So you want the market share. We want the market share. It's villa. Oh man, I'm seeing these signs. Instead of when you go to a listing appointment, well, I never heard of your brokerage.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But they've heard of Berkshire Hathaway, they heard of Coldwell Banker, they've heard of, so that's how we grow. That's how we grow our market share and our name and, get the phone is ringing, but to get that 844 number ringing and people wanting to list their property with us. So, so that was a great question and great one to close on. Those who stayed the whole time, I see 2 are on hold. They're probably on something on a call, but are there any other questions? See Sandra, Tanya Campbell, Lorna, thank you for your help. And David's already hopped off. Thank you, David.
All right.
Cheryl, always on everything.
Oh,
My number
Shamika's
one
here. Hey,
supporter.
Shamika.
Shamika, she's quiet.
Yeah.
But Shamika be asking, she has great questions. So, all right, well,
Okay.
I'm gonna close no problem, Tanya. I'm gonna go ahead and close the recording because it's an hour and a half. And I'm
Thank
gonna
you
hop
so much,
on.
Adrian. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
No
All right.
problem. Thank you. Thank you. Who was that? Sandra?
Yeah, that's me.
No problem. And Shamika says, hey. And
All
Bob,
right.
he's quiet. So, all
Bye.
right, guys, take care. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.